Jaguturaj Sampatam Balasasya Sriya Vrindaraninavasinam Ridhisaddama Vihamodaram Radha Skanda Nivechika Ujvala Pujam Jayam Damodaram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So first of all, I put pranams to our Gurudev, Om Vishnu Padma Swami, Sabhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, our Six Gurus, Chudanti Swami, Shri Gaur Govinda Goswami Maharaj, Shri Bhaktivedanta Pavan Goswami Maharaj, Shri Bhaktivedanta Trivikram Goswami Maharaj, Pujapal Bhaktivedanta Madhusudan Goswami Maharaj, all Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, Dandavat Pranams. So today is the disappearance of two great Vaishnavas, Pujapal Bhavan Maharaj, Pujapal Trivikram Maharaj. I guess a little later we'll speak about them. So in Damodarastika, again and again, Na Mokshavadima, again and again, Na Chanyam Prine. Again and again he's saying, I don't want liberation, I don't want liberation. I don't want liberation. So this idea of Sankacharya, even though Brahmavad and Mayavad look same, still there's a subtle difference. Even though both are impersonalists, still. Brahmavad not disrespect the form of the Supreme. They're just more attracted or give prominence to the impersonal aspect. But they don't criticize Krishna's soul. So they can be delivered by mercy of Vaishnava, by mercy of Bhagavan. They can come back from that position. The example is like the four Kumaras, like Sukadeva Goswami, actually I think thousands and thousands of them. The four Kumaras were not offenders to Supreme Lord, only they were attracted to the impersonal aspect. But hearing from their Guru, Lord Brahma, they developed some desire. We want to see Lord Vishnu. So they went to Vaikuntha. When they saw his behavior, when Jai Vijay stopped them, then they cursed him, then the Lord personally came up. So how charming was his walking? How charming was his speech, how affectionate. He said, yes, even if Lord Narayan said, Lord Vishnu, even my own hand acts against my devotee, I will cut it off. Means how much full of affection. So when they saw his form, his qualities, and especially the tulsi mixed with sandalwood paste on his lotus feet, when that smell entered their nose, they experienced a change in Krishna consciousness. From, I guess, self-consciousness, self-satisfaction to devotion. Also now, we see also in the life of Sukadeva Goswami, he was also fully absorbed in Brahman realization. But one verse he heard about the form of Krishna that Vyasadeva had given, describing how attractive Krishna looks in the morning when he goes cow grazing. Then they also, Sukadeva Goswami gave up that. So, but Sankaracharya's philosophy looks a little similar in one sense. Also the goal looks a little the same. The difference is that Sankaracharya, they say, no, the Lord's form, the form of all the incarnations, this is all Maya, illusion, material. He said, no, Ishvara, he has a form made of sattva-gun. Sattva-gun means Maya, material. So these premises of Sankaracharya, he said, I can give you in just two verses, two lines, the essence of all the Vedas. Brahma Satyam Jagam Mityam, Eva Brahma Eva Napara. This world is false. The only one reality is Brahman. And the jiva is nothing else except that. But in this very simple statement, many questions come. How if Brahman is in this world, if Brahman is all pervading, that means Brahman pervades this world, then how can this world be false? If If Brahman exists within everything, then how can you say the world is false? Then they scratch their heads. No, Maya is, the world is in Brahman. If Brahman is in the world cannot be false. But if the world is in Brahman, how can you also say it's false also? That means Brahman becomes false. So they're full of logic, and they're using so much logic and art, like this type of thing. Then what is Brahman and what is Maya? Then automatically comes the question, there's two things. The Jiva and Brahman, there's two. And Maya, there's a third thing. So the absolute truth is only one. Where these other two came from? Then so many false logics they give to try to do mental gymnastics so we can twist our mind over something completely illogical. They said, no, Brahman is all pervading. The Jiva is a fragment of that. But something which is all pervading, how can it be fragmented? That's impossible. So they give the dream theory. No, Brahman dreams he's in illusion, that's the Jiva. That means now illusion has covered Brahman into a separate substance, the Jiva. That's impossible. If Brahman is full knowledge, number one, where illusion comes from and how it covers. That means illusion is now stronger than knowledge. So many illogical things. Our Param Gurudev, too much. He would use this logic and argument. Guruman said, Param Gurudev not use Shastra too much. He just one line, half a line. But mostly he used all this type of logic and argument. Especially to destroy Mayavad. Because Mayavad based on logic and argument. Like a thorn. How do you take out another thorn from the foot? You have to use the thorn to take it out. So, if you lose your identity by merging in Brahman, the problem is who is left to experience anything. Therefore, very clearly, Vyasadeva said, the absolute truth is Ananda Moya Vyasa. Ananda Moya. The absolute truth is not ecstasy, Ananda. He's Ananda Moya. He's the object of happiness. He also gives happiness and tastes happiness. If he's just happiness, how can he taste anything? Can happiness taste itself? Can chocolate taste itself? Can nectar taste itself? So the question of tasting happiness, feeling happy even, then there's duality there. I am feeling happy, something is making me happy, then comes duality automatically. So Vyasa and Anandamoya Vyasa, you should search for that Anandamoya. That absolute truth is happy, who is happiness and who is giving and tasting happiness. He is not just happiness, he is also tasting happiness. It means the devotee gives him happiness. So two is there, duality is there. So very clear, Vyasadeva has said this. So Sankaracharya said, no, Vyasa made a mistake. Vyasa Brahma. He made an erroneous conclusion when he used the word Anandamoya. So on the Vyasa Puja, Guru Maharaj said, what is the Vyasa Puja of the Advaitavadis? They say their own Guru was mistaken. This is not really Guru Puja. Anyway, so again and again, very strongly, these ideas should be taken from our minds. So the absolute truth is not just a manifestation of Sattva Guna. He is Satchidananda. The Jiva is not just a temporary manifestation. He is eternal. Mamevam so jivaluka jiva bhuta sanatana. Krishna says very clearly, Mamevams, the Jiva is my separated part and parcel. Is that temporary? Sanatana. Krishna said that is eternal. So, and only by strong mercy of Vaishnava one can come out of this impersonal thing. Why Krishna, the impersonalists say Bhagavan has no Shakti. Because if you accept Bhagavan has a Shakti, then comes duality. Bhagavan and his Shakti is two things. So they say Bhagavan has no Shakti. When Mahaprabhu was met with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, then Sarvabhauma saw this very beautiful young man, but how he took sannyas, he was also a little foolish. He's not studying Vedanta or meditating, he's just chanting Harinam. So, this Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, his heart melted with little Vatsarya. Oh, your sannyas also is a little low class. You took from Bharati Sampradaya. It's like 6th, 7th class sannyas. So I'll give you reinitiation into first class sannyas. Saraswati, Tirtha, like this. And also you should study Vedanta, how you maintain the principles of sannyas without knowledge. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so humble. Yes, you are like my father. I will definitely accept help from you. Then Gopinath Acharya, reincarnated as Baladev Vidyabhushan, he heard Sarvabhauma speaking like this. So when Mahaprabhu went away, Gopinath, he said to him, you are so foolish. Krishna says, Vedakrit Vedanta Kridevacha. Krishna says, I am the goal of Vedanta. By Vedanta, I'm the only subject matter of Vedanta. I am the speaker, I am the goal, I am the composer of Vedanta, Krishna says. And you will teach Krishna about Vedanta? Gopinath Acharya chastised him. But Sarvabhauma knew so much Shastra. What you're saying, he is Krishna, I cannot accept Sarvabhauma said. Because Krishna, Vishnu is called Triyuga. He never appears in Kali Yuga, one name of Vishnu. Then Gopinath said, you are very foolish. You are reading Shastra, you cannot understand the meaning. What is the meaning of Tri Yuga? Of course, Vishnu comes in every Yuga. That is called a Yuga Avatar. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Yada yada hi dharmasya dharma grani bhakti bhakti abhutanam dharmasya tadatmajam srijamya. Krishna says, Krishna didn't say I appear in every Yuga except the next one. Every Yuga. So Vishnu appears every Yuga, that is called the Yuga Avatar. So that is not the meaning. The meaning of Tri Yuga means he appears in every Yuga, but in Kali Yuga he comes in a hidden form. Chanavatar. Chanavatar means, Mahaprabhu never said, I am Bhagavan, I am Krishna. What did he say? Dasosmi, I am the servant of Vishnu. That's why he's called, because he appeared in the mood of devotee, he's called a hidden avatar. Anyway, so this Gopinath Acharya was smashing him. There was father-in-law and son-in-law. So anyway, then Sarvabhauma spoke 7 days, 7 nights, like Mayavadi, Saptaha. The Lord has no eyes, no nose, no mouth, no arms, no legs. He has no name, no form, no activities, no desire. What is he? Nothing. He is something, but what is there? Nothing. So it's like covered Buddhism. Buddhists openly say the absolute truth is zero. But Sankaracharya said he's like a zero, but he's something. What is he? He's something with nothing, means a nothing. So 7 days he spoke, and Mahaprabhu reciprocating, nothing. 7 days, 7 nights. Then Sarvabhauma became confused. Are you understanding anything? If you understand or don't understand, you should say something. Then Mahaprabhu said beautifully, oh, the sutras of the original, the sutras of Vyasadeva in the Vedanta, these are clear like the sun. Very clear meaning. But your explanation is like a cloud, covering the meaning. Imagine, Sarvabhauma. What? My explanation gives bewilderment? Yes. Then Mahaprabhu gave the Bhakti Vedanta, the Gaudiya Vedanta, the devotional understanding of Vedanta. He spoke to Sarvabhauma. The Supreme Lord is never devoid of Shakti. Everywhere the Shrutis describe his potency. Parasya Shakti Vivadeya Shruyate. The Shrutis describe everywhere the potency of Vishnu. Swabhavik Gyan Bal Kriyacha. He has Swabhavik, naturally occurring eternality, knowledge and bliss. Gyan Bal Kriya. Kriya means Ladini Shakti. Bal means existence, potency, Samdini. And Gyan means knowledge, Samvit Shakti. The Shrutis clearly describe it. You are saying he has no potency. Arjun, stay awake. It's alright, you're not the only one, believe me. If I had $1 for every sleeper out there, I'd be a millionaire. Myself being included. The reason I'm staying awake, I have to give class. That is the glories of Katha. So, you're saying he has no form, but the scriptures are. We would describe his Satchidananda, all attractive form. In this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu destroyed all his arguments. Then he said, Jiveda nistale lage sutra koelo vas vyas mayavad vasu sunne hoisarams. Vyasadeva composed this Vedanta to deliver the jivas. But who hears the commentary of Sankacharya, destroyed. So why the jiva is so much attracted to that? Because everything comes from the Shakti of Krishna. This is Shakti Parinam Bhav. The jiva is a manifestation of the Tatastha Shakti. This world is the manifestation of the Maya Shakti. And the spiritual world and everything in it, this is the transformation of the Antaranga Shakti. So Krishna's one Shakti, main Shakti, the Para Shakti, this is the source of all other Shaktis. That because everything else comes from the Para Shakti, Jiva Goswami gives an example, a nice example in the Sanghagas. There's the sun, the mondo around the sun, the rays of light from the sun, and the absence of sun, which is called shadow. So Krishna is like the sun, Shaktiman. The Parashakti, this is like the mondo, the effulgence of the sun. The jiva comes from the effulgence of the sun, therefore it's like an atomic ray. And the shadow, the opposite, that is mind. So the potency, the atomic spark and the shadow both depend upon their existence upon the original mondo, the effulgence around the sun, which is the Sarupsha. Therefore all these fellows like a Jiva Institute and the Brahma and the Babajis, they all say, no, these three potencies are not in the Jiva. The Jiva only has the potency of existence. But Jiva, according to Jiva Goswami's explanation, what's in the atomic ray what's in the effulgence must be the atomic ray because it's a part of it. You cannot say it's fully separate. Therefore, the three potencies of existence, knowledge, and happiness, these are in the jiva, but in a minute form. Right? Think hard, Anurag. In a minute form. Therefore, Gyan is there in the jiva. Therefore, everywhere the jiva is called Gyan Surup, everywhere in the Shrutis. The jiva is full of ecstasy. He is Ananda Surup because that particle is there in him. That potency is there. But because it's minute, it's there in the form of a potency, it's not manifest. Therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes this also very wonderfully and very clearly in Jayavadama. Therefore, these three potencies of Sandini, Samvit, Ladini are in the jiva. How? Not fully present, because it's just there as a potency. Like the potency to become a tomato plant is in the seed, but not manifest. But it's there, you cannot deny. So, it's there in the form of jiva, in the form of impersonal existence, impersonal knowledge, and impersonal happiness. It's there in the form of maya, in the form of material existence, material knowledge, material happiness. And it's also there in the associates in the form of what? Satchidananda. Full knowledge, full existence, and full happiness. For that reason, the jiva, without sadhu-sam, without the nourishment of the Sarup Shakti, the jiva cannot understand anything more than impersonal knowledge. Not just like the potency to become a tree is in a seed, but without water, it will never manifest. But the water is not giving that potency. The potency is already in the seed. Therefore, how does that Sarup Shakti come to us? That comes to us by sadhu-sam. That comes to us by Vaishnav Parampara. Therefore, the pure Vaishnav, they are, Gopal would explain, Sarup Shakti pushed. They're not sadhaks like us, devoid of that. They're like full-grown tomato plants. They're fully drinking that Sarup Shakti. Therefore, that Sarup Shakti comes to us by their association, by their shelter, and by their harikatha, by their glance, by their mercy. That without the mercy of pure Vaishnav sadhu, you cannot have bhakti. Many people here chanting, I'm also wearing kanti, I also have a spiritual name, I'm also in Mangalati, I'm also doing devotion. Not possible. It's not possible. You are not doing devotion. It looks like you are, but not, because you have no connection to the source. You cannot by force trespass into that. It comes to us by grace. Like I may put my japa mala here and pretend I'm pregnant. The child will come. Because no seed is there, no potency is there.
Some of them say, oh, I've had 3 Mahabhagavats. Do I need any more Damodara Maharaj?
No need to mention names. No need to mention names. But still, even if that's true, you've got so much mercy. And even if you got prema, which I doubt. Actually, I'm fully convinced no prema is there. Even if it's true, you've got prem, still, the nature of someone who has bhakti, they're always looking for higher association.
We didn't say all the way up to the top, maybe
Yes. Even if you achieve prema bhakti, still you're always looking for association. No one is ever free from the, I became so advanced, I'm not desiring sadhu sangha. That is impossible. So anyway, for that reason, this old idea of liberation, merging, this is all like a dream. When Gurudev was in Fiji, he gave a whole class against it was so genius, his explanation. Even in one, O-N-E, 3 is there. Even in one, if you take a pen and write one, it's still composed of millions and millions of little black dots from the ink to make one. So Guru Maharaj would say there's no proof in any shastra of any jiva ever merging with Bhagavan. There's no proof, it doesn't exist. The jiva can never lose his existence. It may appear so, like a green bird goes into a green tree. Did the bird merge with the tree? No. He still exists in there somewhere. And Guru Maharaj said if you take the glass, like the Mayavadis always give the example, you take the jiva is like a glass of water and the Brahman is like an ocean. Perfection means the glass of water merges again with the ocean. Guru Maharaj said it's not true because the ocean increases by 1 glass of water. So many this old Vaishnava logic and argument. Then we also have to know all these things. One more thing that I'll finish. When I went to China, we went to meet one Buddhist. And we went to one Buddhist place. And there was a guy in a patchwork quilt. Like sort of renunciant Buddhist guy. So we started speaking to him about the Buddhist idea that everything comes from nothing. Nirvana. And nirvana means to return to the nothingness state, to return to non-existence. So I said to him, existence is suffering. Yes, existence is suffering. So if you don't exist, you don't suffer. Yes, yes. I said, but the problem is if you don't exist, how can you taste pleasure? He was like a little rattled. And I said, so there is nothing else. Everything is illusion. He said, yes, everything is illusion. I don't exist. You don't exist. This world does not exist. He said, yes. I said, so this is all false. He goes, yes. So Buddha is also false? And he went, oh. Then he looked around, made sure no one was watching. And he said, yes, Buddha is also false. I said, Buddha is also false. But we do not tell him that in the beginning. I said, so Buddha is false, so his teachings he gave, this is also false. And then I said to him, how foolish are you to dedicate your life to a false teaching? And I said, if nothing exists, then where this false thing came from? Then he came from the Sringadev appearance day. And we were a little crazy. We went for Harinam, like this. It was the Sringadev's day. Nothing will happen without the Sringadev's desire. And he was doing Harinam. Then after he goes, that was very dangerous. Anyway, so I don't know what happened to him, but he will not forget that. I not forgot that conversation. How he will forget. So these old ideas really imaginary. No jiva ever emerges. That's a false pretense. But without the mercy of Vaishnava, you cannot have more than that.
No, what about the jiva that goes into Krishna's body?
Still he exists.
Yeah.
He exists. Like you fry a seed, the seed still exists. I spoke about this a few days ago. If you fry a seed, the seed still exists, but it cannot do anything. So those who merge with Krishna's body, the jiva still exists, but his jivatva, his like independence, his potency to act, that is fried, that is destroyed. That's why again and again said, don't even hear these topics. It's like the mouth of a tiger. So anyway, without the mercy of a Vaishnava, you cannot come out of that. It's impossible. Without Vaishnava Sampradaya, you cannot come from that. Then even there are so many bogus Sampradayas looking like Vaishnava. Won't mention names. Anyway, like this Premananda running around with me today. Premanandas, they eat honey bombs. Huh? Not that Premananda. The one with the beard and the mud on his face. So it looks like bhakti. But you cut the tree, you cut a branch off a tree, it still stays green for a few weeks. But nothing is there. So these people look like tilak, looking like Vaishnavas, but no contact with Sat Sampradaya. No contact with Vaishnava Sampradaya. Then bhakti cannot come to them. Therefore, big mercy in someone's life, we come to Vaishnava. That is big mercy. And that is given in Jaivadhamma, the very beginning of Jaivadhamma. One liberated Paramahamsa in the fourth stage of sannyas. He'd taken a vow of silence. 4 stages of sannyas. Hams, Bahuchak, Kutichak, Hams, Paramahamsa. He'd reached the 4th stage. Then he'd taken vow of silence. And he was sitting there, then he saw one devotee. Some say maybe that was Lord Chaitanya. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. His feet were slipping. Tears were pouring from his eyes. His hands were raised. He was chanting Harinam. So that, actually, he was Mayavada. He saw that Vaishnava. Just by seeing him, he felt a spark of ecstasy. Such a happiness he'd never felt in his whole life, just by looking at that devotee. Not everyone. How come Shamala didn't get it? Not everyone got it. Like this Taitric sannyasi, when Mahaprabhu was going to Advaitacharya's house, he invited Mahaprabhu for lunch, gave him fruits and tried to give him wine. He not got prema. But Mahaprabhu gave him blessing, maybe next life he will get it. He had also some qualification. So point was, before Shamala was disturbing, what were we talking about? So he felt, just by seeing that Vaishnava, he felt a spark of ecstasy, which he'd never felt before in his whole life. Then he wanted to go and speak to that devotee. But because he was proud, I'm Brahman, why Brahman will go and speak to another Brahman? No need. And because he'd taken vow of silence, and if you approach someone, that means like disciple. So because of some bad samskars, he hesitated. Then the Vaishnava disappeared. Then, what am I doing? He tried to find, could not find. Then he inquired about Mahamantra. Who is chanting Mahamantra? That is Rupa and Sanatan. Rupa and Sanatan? Who are they? Rupa Sanatan live in Vrindavan. So just by that darshan, he went to Vrindavan. He asked him, where's Rupa Sanatan? But Rupa Sanatan had left. And they all were just crying, Rupa Sanatan. Then he said, why crying for? Where they came from, Lord Chaitanya? Where's Lord Chaitanya live? Mayapur. So he left Vrindavan and came to Mayapur. Just one glance of a Vaishnava, he touched that. And how many years we're looking, but still not touching that prayer. And how much you understand we're covered by anatas and all nonsense. Anyway, so Varam Deva Moksham Na Moksha Vadimva Chanya Maham Brine Harapisha. Therefore, no greater benediction in this world than association of Vaishnavas. There is nothing higher than that. Again and again we hear, even those devotees who saw Bhagavan, like the Prachetas, when they saw Bhagavan, Bhagavan said, what do you want? Tulyami Lavapitana Swadam Napavagavan, Bhagavat Sangi Sangyasya Matyanam Kimat Utaisha. Oh Bhagavan, if you want to bless me, give me even a moment association with your Lord. They're seeing Krishna. And Krishna is asking, what do you want? They said, give me the association of Vaishnava. Therefore, nothing is more rare, nothing is more precious than association of that Vaishnava. And today's appearance of two such Vaishnavas, disappearance of two such Vaishnavas. Maybe we could not meet them, but real meeting comes through Katha. That is real meeting. Because our material sense is what we see, what we understand. So real darshan of the Vaishnava comes by hearing Katha from proper source. Like one time Gurudev got in an argument with some godbrothers of his Guru. Then Gurudev said, you don't know Prabhupada, I know Prabhupada better than you. They said, we are disciples of Prabhupada, you never even saw him, how do you think you know him better? Then Gurudev said, I know better because I heard from my Gurudev, so I know more than you. Then godbrothers went to complain. Your disciple is saying he knows Prabhupada better than us? And Param Gurudev said, yes, it's true. So, anyway, I had so much association with 3 Mahabhagavats, but what was your understanding of a Mahabharata? Actually, that's a point. Unless you're a Madhyamadikari, you cannot understand what makes them Mahabharata. We always talk Mahabharata, but can you see why is a Mahabharata? Why? What makes them Mahabharata according to your vision? Therefore, Prabhupada, Saraswati Thakur wrote a wonderful thing. He said, if Guru is Kanishta, if Guru is Uttam and disciple is Kanishta Adhikari, he has no power to see how Gurudev is Mahabharata. He cannot understand. He says Guru is Mahabharata, but inside he has really no understanding what that means, because he is Kanishta Adhikari. So Prabhupada said the Kanishta Adhikari, he sees the Uttam Mahabharata as a Madhyamadikari. That's his understanding. He cannot understand more. But the Madhyamadikari can see what makes Mahabharata. So at least we should hear Katha from Madhyamadikari. Then some real understanding comes. So, anyway, so Pujapad, I'll speak first about Pujapad Baba Maharaj, maybe after doing something. As a Pujapad Baba Maharaj, great Vaishnava. He appeared in Vaishnava family and he joined the Gaudiya Math, I think, when he was 7. What were we doing when we were 9? I would leave home and join the sadhus. So very young age. And from young age, he's not just hanging around the mud, he's doing seva. And he said, what was his seva? Before they have no flush toilets. They have these pots, the pots of death. He would pass Stula Dhiren into the pot. And then every morning before everyone wake up, he would take the pots and throw in a distant place, wash them, clean the bathrooms before all Vaishnavas woke up. And we have garbage piles sitting here for days, no one even thinks I will clean. This is not my seva, not my responsibility. But we are living in the mud, no? Also this mud, we should think this is mine. But we think, no, this is someone else's problem. So I will tell someone else to do it. But Bhaman Goswami Maharaj was never like that. He would not serve because without Diksha he could not serve. So he would put the leaf plates and put salt and chili. And after everyone would serve prasad, even you see Chaitanya Math, they still do it. Sannyasis sit on the ground and each have a little table in front of them. They have a little table to sit on, like this called choki. No, they have a table to sit on. A little one. So he would do that, put all the tables out. After everyone would take prasad, he would collect all the leaf plates of all the Vaishnavas and he would eat that. And therefore he said, my body is made of Vaishnava remnants. He said, my body is made of Vaishnava remnants. So from the beginning, when Prabhupada gave him Harinam, then for whatever reason he not took Diksha from Prabhupada. And very wonderfully, he would never call himself a disciple of Saraswati Thakur, even though he took Harinam, because he took Diksha from Bhakti Pragyan Kesava. But whole life he never said, I am a disciple of Saraswati Thakur. Because many people think, oh, if I say I'm a disciple of Saraswati Thakur, I get more prestige, more glorification, more respect. So he would never say, very wonderfully. We're very eager to promote ourselves. Then one day Bhakti Pragyan Kesava Goswami Maharaj was joking, oh, Guru Bhai, oh my God, brother. Then Baba Maharaj was mortified. Gurudev, why you are saying that? because he also took Harinam from Prabhupada, therefore we are God brothers. Then Baba Maharaj began bitterly weeping. Oh Gurudev, that means you have not accepted me as your disciple. That means you're not fully accepting me like disciple. And bitterly weeping. Then Baba Gurudev became very, he was joking, but then he became very serious. Okay, I will never say like that again. Like that. So how much strong was his Guru Nishta? I read that one God brother wrote that when I was reading. How extraordinary. He dedicated his life to Bhakti Pragyan Kesava Maharaj from the beginning, even though he was in Gaudiya, Prabhupada was there, but he gave full life and soul to Bhakti Pragyan Kesava Maharaj. So and he joined the school, he went to the Bhaktivedanta Institute school. If you go to Bhaktivedanta Institute school, that school is still there. Who's seen it? That school is still there. No, it's the one with the solar panels on the roof near the pond. So like the headmaster was Bhakti Pragyan Kesava Maharaj. And there was no Saturday, Sunday. Holiday was a Kadasi and Panchami, like this. Everything they did according to Vaishnava standards. So it said if he learned a verse, he would get a toffee. So he had millions of toffees that he would give to the other children. He had photographic memory. So when he went to school, a new teacher came in. Why this boy has no book? Then he kept quiet. The other students said, oh, he don't need a book, he just look and memorize. One time Maharaj said he never took book to school, he just look and memorize. Then teacher not believe, come on. What's on page 47 of Bhagavad Gita? So the teacher not believe. Maybe children are torturing the new, what's he called? The replacement teacher, what's he called? Substitute, the subhuman wisdom. So children always torture the substitute teacher, not me of course. So teacher thought maybe they're joking. Then he asked, okay, what's on page 20? He read. He just spoke from memory. What's on page 67? Like that, this type of memory. So therefore, Param Gurudev would put him in charge of publications. Especially Param Gurudev would give a lecture, and Baba Maharaj would just take notes. And from that notes, no need even any editing. Maharaj gives a class 7 years ago in Damodara, but we still haven't printed it. But Baba Maharaj just hearing the lecture would take notes, and without any editing, that would go straight for print. Imagine. So you can imagine what type of genius he was. Therefore, everyone would call him the encyclopedia of Vaishnavism. Which Maharaj explains because his Gurudev, Sri Janardhan Goswami Maharaj, and Bhaman Goswami Maharaj, both were children in the school. Therefore, they have so much close relationship. And they had so much, Prabhupada's library was vast. So they spent so much time reading the Puranas. And Puranas is like an ocean of Katha. Garud Puran, Padma Puran, it's like an ocean of Kathas. Therefore, Baba Maharaj, he knew so much Harikatha no one else would speak. And he could speak to all type of persons. To children, he would entertain them and nourish their attachment by telling so many ghost stories. So he could tell Katha to just normal people, villagers, to very, very learned scholars. Especially the villagers of Bengal, so much love. He never looked at opulence. These days, people look, how rich is the disciple, then they preach to that person. But Baba Maharaj was like the full opposite. He would go to very, very diskinship, very, very impoverished disciples and stay there. Especially before his Vyas Puja, they would arrange some big Vyas Puja, but he would always run away from the Vyas Puja and go very, very into the villages and preach. His health was not good, he was always quite ill, but whole life he preaching in the villages of Bengal. Therefore, no one preached in Bengal like Bhaktivedanta Bhavan Goswami. So much he preached. And he was very happy just taking sark for the villagers, just very simple life. So he was also very learned and very soft. And he would never chastise disciples. He would never chastise. He gave that department to Gurudev. Like I heard Maharaj, I didn't hear, but someone saying, Maharaj was saying, I want to be like Didi. Didi has the sword, but I cannot do it. But Didi has the sword. So Baba Maharaj, I guess, a bit like that. He would not chastise, but he gave all power to Gurudev for managing and chastising. I heard in old age, Baba Goswami Maharaj was a little sick and retiring. Therefore Gurudev went to bring him back to the mat. And when he saw Gurudev, he went, oh no, the police have come. Gurudev used to be a policeman.
Pack my bags, we're going.
Now I will be under arrest. I will be transferred to the new prison. He was so much affectionate with his relation with his godbrothers. And even though he was a charya, before he would give Diksha, he would come to Gurudev and say, please forgive me. I am about to do a very sinful activity of initiating disciples. So he was so much humble. Even though he, Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, chosen as a charya, still before taking any decision, he would always ask his godbrothers. So I remember I first met him like 1994, before I met Gurudev actually. I went to stay with Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, like 2-3 weeks I was there. And knew I was new in Gaudiya Math, it was like a different universe. The one devotee said to me, let's go and look at, it was the first day of Kartik, let's go and look at the other side of the Ganga, what the other Gaudiya Maths do. So I was like, so we went to Devananda Gaudiya on the first day of Kartik. And we're looking around, Then we went upstairs and Baba Maharaj was just sitting there on his veranda. I had no idea this was the acharya of this huge Gaudiya Math, because he's just there in a t-shirt, just sitting there in a chair. And I thought he's just like some old guy, some old big Gaudiya. Then someone came and did Guru Puja. No? We were also there, so we also just stayed for Guru Puja. No? Then afterwards, we went to touch his feet, but I couldn't find his feet. I was too sinful. He never let anyone touch his feet, but I didn't know. Then we finished, and he left, and he turned to me and smiled and went, Hare Krishna. And I remember thinking, he's very nice. He's very nice. So, also when we joined, then I was in Gurudev's room. Then Gurudev we were just talking, then someone opened the door and came in, and Gurudev jumped, like someone had electrocuted him. Then I thought, who could make Gurudev jump? Then I turned around, it was Bhaman Goswami. Then they were speaking Bengali, then Bhaman Maharaj said, oh Maharaj, please come and give class. And Gurudev knew. Bhaman Maharaj so humble. So Gurudev said, no, I'm feeling a little sick. So please you just go and give class. But Gurudev was not sick, but he knows I don't want to disturb Maharaj's class. So Bhaman Goswami Maharaj went, and Gurudev said to me, you go and sit right in the front. And if you're lucky, he'll speak some English for you. This was 1996. There were no Westerns. Gurudev hadn't started his Western preaching. So I went and Gurudev said, sit right in the front. There was like 7,000 Bengali side. Gurudev said right in the front, so I went right in the front. And first Trivikram Maharaj spoke. And I remember watching Baba Maharaj. Trivikram Maharaj spoke like 40 minutes, half an hour. But Baba Maharaj, he not moved a muscle for 40 minutes. Scratching nose, nothing. Like a stone, like a statue. So much absorbed. I've never seen anyone like that. Then he started speaking Bengali, but many of the verses I knew from Govinda Maharaj. Sunday, sitting. I'm thinking, when he'll speak English, he didn't speak any English. He just speaking about Bhagavatam. Then he finished, and I thought, he didn't speak any English, just thinking. Then Baba Maharaj looked and goes, Bhagavatam is a matter of realization. Then he smiled. So sometime I would get a chance to ask him some questions, many times with Trivikram Maharaj. So just one time I asked him a question. Maharaj, why we do not like to chant Harinam? And Bhaman Goswami Maharaj was famous. He would chant 2 lakh every day. He'd say 1 lakh for me, 1 lakh for my disciples. So when I told him I didn't like to chant Harinam, he looked at me like I was an animal, like a strange beast from another world. And he said, why not? And then I remember the answer that came from my heart was, I don't want to. I don't want to taste Harinam. But I couldn't tell Maharaj that. I'd make him cry. So I said, maybe Aparat. I And he said, yes, Vaishnava aparad, Seva aparad, Dharma aparad. He went all through the aparads. 10 Dharma aparads, 10 Nama aparads, 32 Seva aparad. He said, because we're doing aparad, we cannot feel happiness when we chant. Anyway, so he was very deeply absorbed in Harinam, deeply absorbed in Shastra. Very soft, he had all great Vaishnava qualities, so much affection for his god brothers. So today we remember Bhaktivedanta Bhavan Goswami Maharaj. Maybe evening we could talk about Pujapad Bhaktivedanta Chilakram Goswami Maharaj. Go Preman!